We're going to demonstrate the gathering foot and the different uses that it can be used for. First, I'm going to just show you what the foot looks like. This happens to be a Bernina one. It's flat and it has a little slit in it. Okay, before I put it on the machine, I'm going to show you some options that you can do. You can actually gather it first and then sew it to another piece of fabric, or you can stitch it to a flat piece of fabric and it will gather and do the seam at the same time. And you could do a little tiered skirt in this manner. So we'll put the foot on. It has a center hole, so we'll tap the foot on the foot pedal one time so we can get the thread under the presser foot. The only setup we need to do on this is to change the stitch length up to a 4. We want a longer stitch length. We can either gather a single layer of fabric, or we can gather and stitch a piece of fabric to another one. I like to use it for flat lace. It's hard to find gathered lace that's very full, so I'll take flat lace and gather it. So first let's just show you how you can do that without stitching it to another piece of fabric. You put it underneath the presser foot and you'll put your left index finger back behind. And then start stitching and let the fabric bunch up behind you. Different fabric weights will gather differently. This lace happens to gather quite a bit. So now we've got a gathered piece of lace that we could sew then to a pillow or to a little girl's skirt. Let's also do it to a piece of fabric to show you how much it would gather. My thread just broke. I have to rethread. So once again, we're going to put the needle so we can get the thread underneath. So we'll do the same thing to a piece of fabric so you can see the difference, the fullness ratio. Keeping your index finger back behind. So you notice that's not as full as the lace is. Different fabrics will gather up to different fullness. Okay, now we're going to take a long piece and sew it to a short piece. That requires you to put the long piece underneath. That's the one that will gather. The short one goes into the slot right side down so that right sides are together. So we put that in the slot. Notice I put my presser foot down so that it kind of holds that bottom fabric. And I'm going to stitch with the needle in the down position so that every time I stop, the needle will stay down. This foot takes quite a bit of practice to get good at it. What we want to try to do is keep our raw edges together here so our seam allowance will be the same width. This top fabric is going to want to slide out. So I train my eye right here, and I will even pull this fabric a little bit to the right, okay? And then because I want it to gather quite a bit, I will pull back just a little bit on the top fabric and let the bottom fabric flow freely because it's going to bunch up like that to gather. Doesn't want to grab my fabric yet, so here we go. So the only way you can control the fullness ratio is by pulling on this top fabric. Try to keep your raw edges together. We'll stop because we ended with our top fabric. And then when you open up, you have this cute little Barbie skirt or a ruffle for an apron dress or the edge of a pillow. And there's the gathering foot.